On Monday, we had a feeling it was coming, and by the afternoon, what we feared would happen did. Our parent company, media giant Tribune, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, which means business will go on as usual while the company restructures its debt. As you probably already know, Tribune owns big newspapers like the Chicago Tribune, the LA Times, and locally the Hartford Courant, as well as our very own television station here, Fox 61. Tribune says this is a sign of the times, but with other newspapers and media outlets in trouble, what will this mean for the future of the press?
First, we reported on how the Bristol Press and the New Britain Herald were on the endangered species list. Now, just days after covering that story, we find ourselves also facing an uncertain future. On Monday, Tribune, the parent company of both Fox 61 and the Hartford Courant, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
It means, though, that the company is going to stay as a legitimate company, as a viable company. It's not going out of business. It's merely taking some time to step back, to figure out where to go next without the pressure of creditors breathing down its neck.
In a press release, Sam Zell calls it the result of a perfect storm, less revenue, and a tough economy, coupled with the credit crisis, making it extremely difficult to support Tribune's debt. Then another double whammy. WTIC 1080 radio talk show host Stan Simpson gets the boot despite promising ratings. Another strong voice from the Connecticut media silenced, at least on the radio. Despite all of the recent doom and gloom concerning the future of the press, is this the beginning of the end? State Representative Frank Nicastro, who delivered newspapers for the Bristol Press as a young boy, says if that happens, it would be a modern-day American tragedy.
And there isn't a politician alive that hasn't cursed a newspaper when he read an article that he didn't like, that was bad. But you know what? That's the way it is, and it's America. And it's the freedom of the press that gave this country the greatness that it has today.
I have to say, well put. And here now with the real story on the future of the press are Mr. Rich Handley, communications professor at Quinnipiac University, Mr. Stan Simpson, Hartford Courant columnist and former radio talk show host, and Mr. Rick Hancock, reporter, blogger, and professor at the University of Connecticut. Thanks for being here, guys. Your intro takes up a lot of my time. We're going to have to work on that.
Always.
All right, gentlemen, at least we're all smiling here. I mean, this has happened. It's happened to me before. It hasn't happened in a while. Of course, we're all a little nervous, especially those with ties to Fox 61 as far as what this will mean for us. Will we have a job? Stan, let's get right to you, though. As far as TIC 1080 goes, you were the only African-American on the radio station with your own show. I'm not sure, if not for a major station in all of Connecticut. You're gone. Ties are severed. That's it. They called and said, don't come back. What happened?
Well, you know, the bottom line is I had a great opportunity over there. The ratings went very well. We doubled ratings this past year. But the reality is, in radio, Saturday morning is a low priority day. They have a tough time there raising money. They're bleeding money over there right now. I became expendable. And the reality is there wasn't really the inclination to try to put resources toward selling advertising on my show because they had to put their focus on Monday through Friday. So I became a casualty of this whole fiscal tsunami.
How sad were you? I mean, you must have been somewhat shocked. This was the day after you found out that the Hartford Courant was declaring bankruptcy. Talk about a 1-2 punch.
Well, I'm disappointed. You know, I'm a big believer in when one door closes, one door opens. So it's not a funeral. I'm very heartened by the feedback I received from folks on my blog and through the email. So, you know, doors will open again. I mean, it's not a funeral. It's disappointing because, as you mentioned, we did everything that we were asked to do as far as having a quality product, getting a broad audience. The show was really excelling. So I would rather be let go because of performance rather than the economy.
Someone once told me back at my first television job at WJL when I was 21, I also lost my job because the TV station went under. Someone said there's nothing worse than seeing someone lose their job through no fault of their own, and that's what happened here to you.
I fired my agent too, by the way.
Which is Rick Hancock,
that was me. I had a very bad agent.
I've never had an agent. I don't know. It's just spending a lot of money, but honestly. Boy, I'm like with a bunch of like schoolgirls here.
Yeah, ridiculous.
All right, let's get right back. It's been a while since you two have been on the show, so I am happy to have you here. But let's talk a little bit. I mean, how much more of this are we going to see, Rick?
I think you're going to see a lot. First of all, Stan did do a great job on the radio program, and he will be missed here in Connecticut. But you probably will see more, obviously, in the restructuring for our mother company, the Tribune. You may see some more. I'm still very optimistic about the craft of journalism, and I'm always trying to push journalists to consider some entrepreneurial endeavors in and outside of the newsrooms. And I think the digital space is a space that we should exploit some more. I know there's still some resistance and some skittishness among some working journalists to move into that area, but I still think that while we are contracting, we also have some opportunities to expand.
Well, that's why I've started blogging, and I'm not going to even plug my own blog, because that's not what this is about. But let me ask you this, Mr. Hanley.
What's that?
That's exactly what I'm going to say. Here's the scoop. My father said to me, he's like, he's truly now convinced that perhaps there will be a day when this will be no more. And there are a lot of folks 55, 60 and older who don't read who don't go on the computer. This is their lifeline. This is what they're used to. Do you foresee that day happening?
That day is coming quicker and quicker by the moment. It's hard to see the newspaper remaining as a paper product distributed by trucks and armies of delivery people 10 years from now. It's just the cost, the structure just isn't there to print that and distribute it under current conditions. So the newspaper is, I've said this a number of times, decomposing, but that decomposition process is now accelerating because of the slump in advertising. The economic conditions in the country at large are basically just, really twisting the newspaper business to the ground in a way that no one really anticipated it would happen this way, but that's what's going on.
And newspaper folks have really struggled with understanding that for the most part, Shelley, and I know I've been very critical of that, but I do understand some of their concerns, and Rich put it very articulately. What we need to understand is people still want news. People are going to still want to consume news. It's just how it's going to be distributed that's going to change. The quality does not have to suffer, and I just hope that my brethren in the journalism world, especially in the print world, will see some of the opportunities that are coming down the road.
Someone had once said if the newspaper had been invented after the computer, folks would say, what a great invention. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need an internet connection, it's here on print, you can bring it with you.
But it's a business, it's still a business, it's costly.
I mean, if you compare the newspaper, the static paper that's as dead as you can possibly be the minute it leaves the press.
It's outdated, if anything.
Done against a dynamic multimedia world where you can interact with the material, you can save, share, print it, you could actually proliferate it around the world. You can do so much more with news on the internet, and so many more people can read your stuff online. I've never understood why media folks get all concerned about their work being extracted from a dead product and then put into a dynamic atmosphere where their work can be read by a heck of a lot more people than that can read that product.
Hang on 1 second now. Let me defend the
Well, I
dead
was
tree.
gonna say,
Let me hang on. One second now. Let me tell you a little
Let's
story.
all put our
Let me tell you a
hands on
story. I took the train from Hartford, Connecticut to Washington, D.C. I didn't have a laptop, but guess what? That train didn't have Wi-Fi. So for 6 hours, guess what? I had a stack of newspapers and a book, and nothing better to me than sitting back in the train, reading that paper, turning the pages. If I had my technology,
I have a Wi-Fi card. I would have had Wi-Fi the whole across the country.
I'm on the Acela Express to Washington. I found the internet. Just put my card in there, and there it was.
Well, everyone keeps saying, oh, it's a dead tree, it's a dead tree. There's not as much animosity with the book. I mean, come on.
Well,
I'm not saying that the times aren't changing, but I still think this serves a purpose.
It's a different product. Oh, it certainly serves a purpose. No one's going to, but it's not the paper that serves the purpose. It's the content that's embedded within it.
Well, piggybacking on that, I think papers have to come to the conclusion we are now ancillary to the digital world. I'm willing to concede that finally, that we are complementing the website, and our stories have to be advancing stories. They have to be unique. We have to foreshadow stories and advance stories and have unique content, because now we're not the first reference point for news, and we have to come to that conclusion. So I'm willing to concede that.
And you understand the business model, and a lot of times, a lot of folks we think that we are above the business. The automakers have had to deal with the same kind of thing, and newspaper business, the newspaper industry has had to deal with the realities of where we are, and we can move forward.
Well, there was an interesting piece of news in the NBC Universal announcement about its, cutting 5% of its workforce. In the middle of that, was largely ignored by the media, was a line saying, we're going to cut our newspaper movie advertising. So this is just another advertising component that's being deleted from the newspaper, which is very, very troubling for people still in newspapers.
All right, I think we have to take a quick break, but we're going to come back. We have plenty of discussion. We're going to talk more so next time, the next segment. I really want to know, the press as we know it, is it dead, though? I mean, there have been lots of cutbacks. and this is going to have a huge impact if you don't have those reporters out there gathering news, whether it be for television, the internet, you name it. Okay, we're going to pause for a quick second.